Hello, everyone. I wanted to stop by to talk about one of my favorite months, the month of May. And it's a favorite month because it is Mental Health Awareness Month. Yippee! I mean, it should be all year round, but they chose this one month to highlight the need for mental health awareness, mental health uh, the need for it in our society, especially when we come up on harder times. I wanted to take this month to do an overview of my favorite form of therapy, which is called DBT. So, DBT is Dialectical Behavioral Therapy, and it was created by a woman named Marsha Linehan, and it was created for people with PTSD and borderline personality disorder. So the reason for the two is they have very similar symptoms. So it was, I guess, easy to be able to create this particular kind of therapy for both these diagnoses. So it really highlights managing emotions. And that's what Moody is, right? That's why I created Moody, to help manage emotions. I created Moody out of my own frustrations with my mental health. I live with complex PTSD and depression from childhood trauma. And, I was really kind of frustrated with my PTSD symptoms, and I was in a group therapy, and I said, I wish I had a monster that I could just rip apart and throw across the room and bang against the furniture. And people were like, yeah, you should have that. So I went home and really thought about it, and I put together this plush monster and made their head, arms, and legs out of Velcro. And as you can see, this is Moody 5 years later. You can rip them apart. You can take out all those frustrations on Moody. And the best part about Moody is you can put them back together again. And, if you're an adult, just to look back on the frustration you were having when you used Moody and what you could have as coping skills to help you to better deal with those emotions that you're feeling. And when I created Moody, actually their name was PTSD Pete to start because it was my own monster. And so I decided to name them that. But when I realized that Pete could help me, I wanted to share them with the world and let people know that there is safe ways to get those big feelings out. And especially for kiddos, because I used to call my sons when they were really little cavemen, because they were born with these big feelings, all these emotions inside them, and they didn't know what to do with them. So I thought that it would be great for kids to learn that they can use Moody to let out those feelings in a safe way instead of hitting people, breaking things in the house, breaking their own toys even. Because when kids do those kind of things, they tend to go into a shame spiral after. And when a child goes into shame spirals too often, shame becomes toxic. And when shame is toxic, you start to believe that you're a bad person and not that the things that you may have done were inappropriate or out of control, something like that. So we don't want our kids to develop these high levels of shame, right? We want to give them an outlet to let all of that out and then be able to come back and talk about what happened and figure out some skills, some coping skills, build a coping skills toolbox. That's my big takeaway when I do my Moody Talks every month, is that I share these tools so that you can put them all together and have them available when you need them, when you're having a hard time, right? So this month, I'm focusing on DBT, Dialectical Behavioral Therapy, and there are four main parts, components of DBT. Number one is mindfulness. And I think a lot of people think of mindfulness as like sitting there, like, in yoga or whatever, or having to stay still. But for DBT, mindfulness is in that current emotion that you're in, being mindful and being present in the feeling that you're having rather than running away from it. Using the ability to, have skills to calm yourself and to be present with that emotion and feel that emotion. Because one of the things I always like to say is this too shall pass. Your emotions will pass. You will get through them. And other side to our having those big difficult emotions. We can get through them, right? And sometimes it's really, really hard to sit in difficult emotions like sadness. Sadness is so hard to sit in. You just want to get out of it because it's painful, right? It hurts to be sad. So with mindfulness in DBT, it's helping you to stay focused, stay current with your emotion, and having some skills to work through that emotion until you get to the other side. So that's mindfulness. Second is interpersonal effectiveness. Now, this is great when you're talking about being with others, okay, having relationships, and how to work through relationships and, like arguments, that kind of thing, when you're feeling certain emotions. It can be really difficult to communicate with others, and it can blow up in your face, right? We don't want it to blow up in your face. There are skills that you can use to be a more effective communicator with others. This can be anger. It can also be envy, or there's a lot of different emotions that aren't really thought of as core emotions, but envy is a real emotion. Jealousy is a real emotion. And it's important that we learn how to effectively cope with those emotions and to be able to communicate with others. So that's number 2. Number 3 is distress tolerance. Okay, so distress tolerance is when you're all the way in, when you are way past just breathe. Distress tolerance is when you're at the highest level of your distress and you need to be able to calm yourself, to focus on yourself and give yourself a way to cope with that. And we have so many different skills in DBT to help with distress tolerance. So I want to be able to share those with you. And I have a lot of great skills to teach you on that. And I think that it's really important to understand that, yes, we can go too far with our emotions where we feel like we're out of control, right? And so distress tolerance is the way that we can bring ourselves back in. We can take control of ourselves and our emotions and be able to cope and to work through it. So that's number 3. And the 4th is a really important one, and really it's what Moody is all about as well, emotion regulation. So that is being able to regulate your emotions. It means that you can, again, sit with these emotions, work through them, have coping skills that will help you to better deal with, we can have really big feelings, but also even the little small feelings that we have throughout the day that can railroad us without us even knowing it. And so there are so many great coping skills that DBT has for emotion regulation. And I think that it's important for us to understand that we all need this. Not just little kids, not, people who may have, a mental illness or something like that. It's a whole thing for everyone. We all have emotions we need to regulate. We all get into distressful situations. We all have problems communicating when our emotions get the best of us. And we all have trouble sitting with a difficult emotion. And that's what DBT is all about. So I'm really excited to share these tips with you, these coping skills throughout the month. And I'll have like little bonus parts. Definitely go on over to When Not Yet Becomes Right Now, my podcast, because I think that it can be really helpful during this month as well. What I focus on in my podcast is those moments that spark change in our lives. I created When Not Yet Becomes Now because I've been on a bunch of mental health podcasts and parenting podcasts talking about my healing journey and how I had held off on that because of a lot of different reasons: timing, fear of looking at my trauma from my childhood, and what was the moment that's got me on my healing journey and how it's going now. And I realized that there are so many stories out there from so many different people. I am currently on episode 31. I can't believe how fast it went and how amazing the people I'm meeting are. And sharing their stories has been a blessing for me. And I want it to be a blessing for you as well. So head on over to the When Not Yet Becomes Right Now podcast. You can find it on all the major platforms: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeart, YouTube Music, all those great places that you usually get your podcasts. I'm there. So I hope that you'll tune in for the month, and I hope that this will help with anything that you need when it comes to dealing with emotions. And if you have questions or comments, I highly, highly hope that you will put them in the comments on any of my Moody Talks for the month. Just throw a comment in, throw a question in, and I'd be more than happy to talk about it, add it as a bonus episode if I think that there is like something that I can really put together for you guys. So don't hesitate to do that. And comment and your questions on the podcast as well, because my guests are amazing people and they are always willing to talk with people who have had a similar experience and may need a little help to figure out what their next steps are when it comes to their own healing journey. So have a great rest of your day. Think about Mental Health Awareness Month, about what it means to you, what it can do for you. What are you looking for to better understand yourself? And the one thing I'll say to end it is mental health is health. It's healthcare. So if you get mental health care is a part of healthcare. If you need to reach out to someone, a therapist, someone, you have the right to that in your healthcare, and it's available to you. If you need help finding a provider during any time, actually, I mean during this month, but any time of the month, reach out to me. Again, reach out to me, and I'd be more than happy to give you a better understanding of how you can find the healthcare that you need when it comes to your mental health. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.